I guess we have to get mushroom ravioli.
Almost definitely.
It was not good.
You're like, that wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I thought you were going to let me say it.
Oh.
Well, you already did it.
You can edit it.
So we are going to get Italian food later?
Well, we were at the Publix with the Giovanni's, and it was like
garlic abound.
Gorlick.
Well,
It was so good.
I feel like then in honor of this episode, we should get some mushroom ravioli. No? Yeah. No good? Still no good? Then come up with a different intro.
No, I like
This
it.
episode deserves.
That's fair. That's super
That was
fair.
the third take.
Also, I hate mushrooms. Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Never mind then.
Yep.
Hello, everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And I'm Rachel. Yay!
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your twice weekly pop culture podcast where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. And as always, this is a spoiler show, so you have been warned. On today's episode, we are going to start the first of several, at least 5. We'll do all.
We'll do all of them, yeah. As if we're not going.
The last one's the only one I like.
Yeah.
So we decided to, well, actually, I think it's going to drop. I don't know when this is going to drop, but we decided to kick off November with Twilight.
Take us in with that Muse song.
Yeah.
Oh, Supermassive Black Hole. That's going to be, we're just going to be talking about the soundtrack.
Yeah.
There's going to be half of this episode.
I have things to say.
Okay, this is my first time rewatching the first one. I mean, I know I've seen it outside of the theater, but
I think it's my first time rewatching it in its entirety since the theater, which we went to with Rachel.
Well, I was going to say,
Wild.
do we want to establish? I remember when we moved into Hemingway, you came to visit, and it was like it was the first time you came to visit me in Florida, period.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so this was 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So this was 12 years ago.
Feels
And you
insane.
What is time?
Yeah, you were like, oh my God, Will. You were like, you have to read this book. It is so good. And you were like pumping this thing up.
Mm-hmm.
And Brittany, and hi, Brittany, she'll be in the picture that we'll show of us at the premiere. But you and Brittany jumped in, and I remember, and you guys were like in.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to, and I started that book 3 times.
And then you gave it to me.
I did. You have it now. It needs to be on your shelf.
Yeah. I'll bring them in for when we watch.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't do it. I tried. I eventually got the audiobook, and I think I got until like when she figured it out.
I tried.
No, remember we didn't like
I tried the audiobook.
No, that's what it was.
But that girl that reads it is not great.
You didn't like the way.
I don't like the way that the inflection she put on words. I was like, this is not the way that you read that at all. It was awful. I couldn't get past like the prologue.
I wish that they would do, I don't know if this is something that people do, but do they do like test readings for people just to see like if,
they must.
if an audience would appreciate how someone reads?
Like a screen test?
Kind of, yes.
I don't know if they do that.
I mean, they're professionals, like voiceover artists. So, I mean, I think you just hire them.
Yeah.
But, because now as with animated movies and most things, celebrities are getting into it, and so people like that because they can approach a project knowing.
Sure.
But of course, the like union is angry about that, and it's a whole thing. So I'm not pretending it's not, but. So anyways, yes. So she flew to Orlando, Florida with her Mrs. Cullen t-shirt.
I forgot if it was that or Team Edward.
No, it was Mrs. Cullen, but then I also had a like Forks state outline, and then like Forks was somewhere. I searched high and low for that Mrs. Cullen t-shirt, and I think I finally got rid of it.
Okay.
Yes, I was so sad because I mean, why would I not keep it?
But I remember going to the movie and being so excited, and I remember being just so completely whelmed.
Yeah.
So kind of like.
Yeah.
Well, I just remember us sitting down and it starting, and then immediately, just right out of the gate, we were like, "Oh no,
no, this is not what I intended."
And I know, like, finally, a lot of people are going to, like, kind of see my face. I'm a very reactive person. Because, I mean, you talk about it with the Country Bear Jamboree. We just look over at, like, the face that I made. But so there was a lot of, like, happening.
It's a lot of cringing.
Just constant.
So, but we're not, like...
I'm not
lime
a hater.
green. Yeah, we're not lime green haterade.
No.
Oh,
So-
no. I went to every single midnight release of all of those movies.
I think the only one I didn't see in the theater was the fourth one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I saw all of them. And I actively, as I recall, I like Eclipse and Breaking Dawn Part 2. So, well, because Eclipse is about the Cullens, and the Cullens are interesting. It's like, that's the thing about this story, is there's good stuff in this story.
Yes.
None of it is involving Edward or Jacob or Bella.
So I will even go so far as to disagree with you on that, because I do think in the books, say what you want about Stephenie Meyer and her writing style or talent or lack thereof. I think the story is good, and I think that there is enough with the three of them that is also good. That being said, they're all three miscast.
Well,
absolutely.
You also prefaced it even when we were younger, because I was having a hard time like processing my feelings for it, and you were like, "It's a beach read for young women.
Yes.
It's for like high school and college." Because my mom read it. My like 58-year-old mother read it and fucking loved it. She was like, "Oh my god, I'm 15 again."
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Well, we're gonna touch on things. We're gonna go watch the movie. We're gonna come back and we're gonna talk. And you know the drill. That's what we do. So, Twilight.
You're impossibly fast and strong. You gotta give me some answers.
I'd rather hear your theories.
I have considered radioactive spiders and kryptonite.
It's all superhero stuff, right? What if I'm not the hero? What if I'm the bad guy?
You know what you are. Your skin is pale white and ice cold. You don't go out into the sunlight.
Say it out loud. Say it.
Vampire.
Are you afraid?
No. This isn't real. This kind of stuff just doesn't exist.
Does in my world.
I was trying so hard to be on this movie's side.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Let's just like call it what it is. Let's just do this. And the thing is that I do not think that this is a particularly well-written story.
No.
I do not think it is I said well-written. We already did this.
I think it's a good story.
It's good bones.
I think yes. I think okay, you're right.
Let
I
me-
think the writing is not great.
I do not think this is a particularly well-written story, and I do not think this is a particularly well-made movie. However, I think that it came under fire. It like a lot of bullshit scrutiny fell on it, a lot of which was because they had the audacity to go to Comic-Con and like debut a bunch of stuff. And it is that thing that we talk about a lot where it's like, this is very specifically for a certain type of girl.
Yeah.
Like
it's for girls, and then within that it's for a certain substrata of girl.
Well, and since you didn't finish the book, I will say Bella is so loosely written so that every single girl.
She is pants.
Yeah, she
That's
is
what we
pants.
say all the
She
time.
is pants.
Anyone
I
can
forgot
put her
who
on.
said it.
Yes.
It was like I mean, this was obviously 12 years ago, but I read like a blog post or something where the guy described her as pants because he's like, she's not a character. She's a pair of pants for the reader to put on.
Yes.
And it's that kind of adolescent fantasy. And so the thing is, it's like, I do not think this enterprise deserves all of the shit that is heaped upon it. I think a lot of it is based in misogyny and, you know...
And how?
well, just sort of like the hatred of young women and like their fantasies and stuff. Having said all that, I do think it's pretty bad.
I'm going to make you pause there.
Okay.
Because I agree that this movie is pretty bad. I think the book absolutely serves the exact purpose it was set out to serve. I guess good bones is the best way to say it. However, even still, all of the lines that come across as totally absurd and ridiculous in the movie, I think are you can pass right by them when you're just reading them because it doesn't, you're not watching a human person who has no discernible chemistry with the other human person in the scene read them to each other.
This is melodrama.
Well, they're playing it so deathly serious. And I feel like in the book, there is a level of humor.
Well, there's a level of self-awareness.
Yes.
At least in Edward.
Yes. Yeah. And I feel like in the movie, everyone is just so serious and so sullen and just so in their feelings. And,
so that's what
the love of a century.
That's what I started to say. They're
17.
Yes.
Yeah. For a chunk of the movie, especially in the beginning, I actually don't think it's that bad.
No.
We were watching this and I was like, this is kind of fine.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm kind of fine with this. My biggest issue is twofold. It's number one, it is too long.
Yes.
It is. It shouldn't
by
you're right.
30 full minutes.
It shouldn't be at least 15. It should not be 2 hours and 2 minutes long.
It's too long, and they treated it like they were adapting the Silmarillion.
Yes.
Like, I think because of what was happening culturally at the time, they treated it like it was a holy text in a way that this was the kind of movie that needed to be adapted.
So let me
word for word
take this into the discovery of Witch's Place that I wanted to, which is I thought those books were also not great. I read all 3 of them, and it's, again, very good bones and, like, a really interesting structure about these, like, ancient vampire, like, rites and clans and stuff. Witches. Well, there are witches, but Matthew Good is a vampire. Spoiler alert.
Okay.
You find out immediately.
I thought they discovered witches.
No.
Damn!
It makes sense when you're in it. Regardless.
Misled from moment one.
Yeah, from the title. No, but it's really interesting in that way.
All over again.
It's interesting in that way because they get to a point where when they were making the show, they really distilled the books into like their purest form in a way that, to me, it's one of the best book to series or movie adaptations I've ever seen because they got rid of all the garbage, like the stuff that's terrible, and it's just all of the good parts. And so it really sings in a way that the books don't. And unfortunately, for Twilight, even though the books are terrible, in comparison to the movies, the books sing.
Yes.
Like in a way that is
like a fucking opera.
Like remarkable when you like compare them to one another. And it's the type of thing where we're only talking about the first one, but every time a new movie came out, I was like, well, maybe this
time. Maybe this will be the one.
This time.
Exactly.
And I just like, it really, really was a bummer every single time until the 5th one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Until the one with Lee Pace. I was like, gotcha.
Our miles varied. Our mileage varied, but
okay. I will also say there are like moments of brilliance, I think, in each of them, because there's a couple things in this one that I quite enjoy. But there's
brilliance, though. That's the word we're going with.
Not for this one. But like,
I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. It gets shit on, and I don't understand. The baseball scene is amazing.
No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So good.
It's pretty good.
People make fun of that where they're like, I was about to show my hand. Dudes make fun of it where they're like, oh, they gotta go play baseball during the thunderstorm. And I'm like, it's so cool though. Like that's such a good excuse. Yeah. And that's actually what I wanted to get to is I think that this property has interesting whimsy to it.
Yeah.
And I've made a couple of jokes. Sometimes I say it very like negatively, but I'm like, I don't fully understand why they're vampires.
They're not. They're just like monsters. They're like creatures.
So, I'm like, they could have made them literally like fairies. They could have made them
or
anything.
Angels or something.
Yeah. It's like
angels. Write that one.
It's been done.
The Mortal Instruments has been made, and it's also not very good.
It's been done. But no, it's like because the mythos about them in this world is interesting, and then the getting into New Moon, it's like. The like werewolf mythos is interesting, and it's a really solid take with really solid rules. I love, a fantasy world that creates a reality and then sticks to the rules of its reality.
I will say that for this series, it sticks to its reality. But I will say, I think the series doesn't gain any whimsy until we meet Michael Sheen's character.
Sure,
in which case, then we are foaming at the mouth with whimsy.
But it's like, I would have read a book about a immortal family moving around every 10 years.
Sure.
Like, that I think would have been really interesting.
So that, I think, is the fatal flaw with this series, although it would not have been similarly popular had they done this.
Probably not.
The flaw is that this book series focuses on Bella.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because Bella is a wet noodle. She is.
But that's also what makes it work as a book.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, like, if she had initially written this from Edward's perspective, it would not have been very popular. That's like, although, I don't know, the book You was very popular, and that is also written from the mind of a sociopath.
Different audience.
Of course.
Twilight is like weirdly dear to me just because
I was gonna say, as the person who brought this, who unleashed this curse upon us.
I know.
Okay, in fairness, we had this on the schedule before we knew Rachel was coming to visit.
Yeah, and then the universe works in mysterious ways, and then here we are.
It all worked out.
Yes. And here I am doused in glitter. You're welcome.
So much glitter. She's so itchy right now.
I really am, though. So growing up, I was always a huge reader. I was a huge bookworm, and then got to high school, and then it was just like, you must read this, you must read this, you must read this, and it took all the fun out of reading for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it wasn't until I was a junior in college and I was at Target and this was on the shelf and I was like, oh, that looks kind of interesting. And I read it and it was like, boom, right back into it. And I have been a voracious reader ever since. And honestly, I think it was because it was an easy read. It was easy to fall into. Exactly. Yeah. And it was just fun. And it was like, you know, I mean, you can speak to it with like, you know, just with English literature, and it's just like the brushing of the hand. I mean, there, you know, the woman of it, like, well, whatever.
It's very
forbidden.
Well, it's very old world
yes,
in that way, because it's very chaste, but it's very passionate at the same time. And so it is very like, Darcy grabs Elizabeth's hand, and you're like, I'm all at Twitter.
Yes.
And at face value, it's all the things that have been programmed into young women for several centuries.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
and
where they slap you in the face, you say no, and then they kiss you, and then you're like, okay.
It's a very Scarlett O'Hara, Rhett Butler kind of.
Oh my god.
It's presented. It's presented knowingly in the book as the exception and not the rule. Mm-hmm. So as a work of actual fantasy, I think it's fine. I think like whatever floats your boat, that's fine. I do think that when you consider how popular it was and the breadth that like the sheer like grasp that the movie had, you do get to a point where you're like, mixed messages.
Oh, for sure.
There's some things.
It's been troublesome.
Did you feel that way reading it?
No,
or was it pointed out to you?
I did not feel that way reading it.
I did not. And then, you know, in the midst of the zeitgeist, because once I was in, I was fully fucking in. Mm-hmm. And I found this after Eclipse was out. So she was in the midst of writing Breaking Dawn. Okay. And then I was at the midnight release party for Breaking Dawn at Barnes & Noble, because that's where I was in my life.
That's what we did back then.
That's what we did back then.
Yes. And
we went to places at midnight and waited for them. They didn't come to our Roku.
No, I stood in line with the rest of the fucking weirdos, and it was phenomenal.
The only book I ever waited in line for was The Half-Blood Prince, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
See, and I wish that I had been a part of that, of Harry Potter's like phenomenon and all of that. So
it's too late now.
I know. But so that was like, this was effectively my Harry Potter. Yeah. So so much of it was just so much a part of like being of the world and the whimsy and all of that. And it was so easy to be sucked into, and it's such a fun world. And then like, while the movies are garbage, I still went to every single release. I saw every single one. I own the movies because it's like, I understand it for what it is and I have a weird love for it.
And it is absolutely iconic.
Yeah.
Like it's of its time. And there's an entire generation where this is going to be a cultural touchstone.
Oh yeah.
So whether we like it or not, whether it's good or not, it is there.
This is like they're Clueless or they're Mean Girls, and like it's not that. I think we were just too old for this to really resonate.
Sure.
Yes.
That being said, I do think, because we just talked about how I didn't see the red flags,
Mm-hmm.
the Edward's red flags when I was reading the book. But I think that, again, goes to the, like, if you're not watching a human person do and say these things, it's much easier to brush off.
You also have to take into account that, first of all, we are having this conversation in the
year 2020.
Lord, 2020.
Yes. This is not the year of our Lord. Let's just put that on the table. This is absolutely not the year of our Lord.
No.
So things have been recontextualized.
Mm-hmm.
Like 3 ways over, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Three ways over.
How many fingers do I have?
3 ways over. This is the German 3. Damn it! I always try to do this. No, this is the German 3. 3 ways over. Speaking of things that have been recontextualized. Sorry, cut. And also the celebrity culture of the time, 2008, peak toxic paparazzi culture.
Yes.
I want to discuss
our
that.
Pats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they just say P-Rats. And you finally were like, that's not his name.
Not his name. Not his name as well.
So there's so much context about this movie specifically, let alone the book and let alone like everything. So Rachel had a lot of
Rachel has a lot of feelings. So
she had a lot of sounds.
I'm curious. Also, Rachel thinks we're gonna fight in a minute. So I'm curious about what's coming.
I fucking hate Kristen Stewart.
Still?
Yes. She has too many tics. Acting tics.
Okay.
She does the constant this and then it's in multiple movies.
Okay.
Because I understand that this is the choices were made with this character and she was very much in the box, and some of it has to do with direction. But in every movie I've seen after this, she still has that tick, and I can't not hear it. And she just, there's a lot of this happening, and then the hands that are backwards. There's just a lot of body choices.
Okay.
And it takes me completely out of it.
So I'm curious. I need to know what's the last movie that you saw her in, like the most recent thing you saw her in.
Oh,
that was so sad.
If you can,
that noise.
If you can remember, if you can't, it's fine. I'm just curious because I've really
the Totino's pizza roll skits on SNL.
Just
to be quite honest, my memory is so bad.
Because if it's Breaking Dawn Part 2, I'm going to have to insist that you watch Charlie's Angels in the morning.
But here's the thing, though. She's very good in Charlie's Angels, but she still does a lot of the tics.
She does the thing in the body, and it's just there's a lot of like this happening.
But would it help you?
I'm so sorry.
But would it help you if it was like more grown into? Like it's I mean, this is a weird thing to say about that, but it's more charming when she does it.
I will say my hatred has softened a slight bit since she has come out, because it's like fucking finally, because
you understand what it was. What there was like an uncanny valley thing happening.
She was made of elbows before she came out, like personality wise, and then she has
my elbow, or my personality is made of elbows.
Just Diane Keaton, like, oh geez.
Yeah.
Well, okay, because that's what I was gonna say. Is I grown into is a good way to put it, but I think that she has she's grown into a level of confidence that even if she still does some of those things, it doesn't come off as so like, oh gosh, I'm so awkward, I wear Converse to the prom.
But she still does a thing where she has to, you see the thought happen, and then it has to marinate in her mouth, and then it comes out. Like,
I don't feel that way in Charlie's Angels.
No. What I think is happening is I think she was young. Though good, I think she was young. I think she's trying to put something on the page that isn't there.
I agree
think
with
she's
that.
Trying to, because she was unsure of taking this role, and her mentor, Jodie Foster, basically was like, do it. And
it's the type of role that will give you the money to then make your career choices.
Yes.
Sure.
And
we're at this point now because of it.
Yeah.
And as we were talking about before we were recording, with those who have read Midnight Sun, I know you haven't.
Not yet.
But
no, I have it, but it's a full 1.5 inches taller than this book, and it infuriates me.
I feel a little gross saying this just because it is 2020, but I like Bella so much more through Edward's perspective.
But I think that's by design, because because these books are written to be pants to put on, I think Bella is able to be a more realized character through the eyes of someone else because no one's putting on Edward pants.
Fair, yes.
Like, boys aren't reading Midnight Sun.
Well, because he talks about how, like, she has such a sense of humor and she's so sarcastic and she's actually funny. Like, the shit that she says in this book, there is a weird level of humor in that one. I'm like, where the fuck was this girl in here? Because she still was very, like, feelings, which, I mean, yes.
All 17-year-old girls have feelings.
I know.
Well, furthermore, I mean, you can also become a better writer through writing. So Stephanie herself might have just
That's true.
Better.
But I also think it's something where, like, because of the perspective this book is from, Bella is also a very self-deprecating presence. And so in order to see her through the eyes of, like, a 98-year-old man, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is its own bag of worms.
Gross,
but I do think that is sort of interesting.
It's not even the fact that he's older than her. It's the way they utilize it, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
The Mormonism of this.
So,
I find repugnant.
I don't know how many of the internet things you've seen. I read a lot of them to you, but there's one where it's like she comes down the stairs in like a denim shirt and like a long khaki skirt. And she's like, okay, I'm decent. And Edward is like, you're positively indecent.
Oh, when she has the light blue blouse. Oh, my God.
And it's just like the Mormon really jumped out, Stephanie.
Just fucking wait.
In Midnight Sun?
Yes.
Okay, I gotta read it now. I just gotta read it now. But it's the stuff like that where it's like, and also it's like.
I would be kicked out.
At one point, she's like, he was wearing like a taupe sweater over khakis, and it's just like
it really gets my motor running.
Straight up beige monster, like driving a Volvo hatchback. What the fuck is this book? It's insanity to me.
Well, because the one that got me was when she makes sure to she was like having trouble sleeping. And she says something about like unnecessarily taking like
cold medicine.
But yeah, it's like NyQuil. It's like NyQuil PM. Yeah. But she talks about it like she's like doing
like
drugs.
It's illicit substances.
Yeah. I can't with that shit. But it's like, yeah. So my biggest issue with this movie, because again, I think like the first hour, again, it's 30 minutes too long. I think the first hour, there's like 45 minutes of it is actually fine.
It's fine. It's fine. My biggest problem, and then I want you to finish, but my biggest problem is that everybody across the board, top to bottom, there is no exception. Everybody's performance is so stilted.
Yes.
And it's like these kids who've gone to high school with each other or school with each other, presumably since kindergarten, shouldn't be awkward with each other.
Well, with the exception of Anna Kendrick, who, like...
okay, yes, there is one exception, and it is Anna Kendrick.
Hallmark of the actress, where it's like she manages to imbue this character with, like, life.
So much life. Yep.
And it's like, and yes, she's frivolous, but it's just like, there's times where I'm just like, oh, Jessica. And I'm sort of like, where's the book from Jessica's perspective?
100%. Because the rest of them, even the boys who like, you know, Mike and whatever, Eric, presumably who have like the most like dynamic performance are still, it's like dead-eyed and they're like, you're a pretty girl. What are you doing?
Hey, like, baby, the push. Baby, the push.
Do you want to go to the beach? Like... Do you want to go to the prom? Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
Like a robot.
Oh, okay.
Me and Rachel, right here.
But it bums me out that both her and Robert are doing this like they both just learned English.
Yeah.
And B are trying to overcome a stutter.
But they also just learn English phonetically. They don't even know it
but
yet.
They're trying to overcome a stutter and they possibly have some form of like palsy or like, that might be inappropriate. Like it's like there's like a slight tick where they're like
the synapses are not firing.
Yeah.
They're like choking on the word.
She just has this like where she's like
especially in the bio class when they're like when they're learning the like phases of the onion root, whatever.
She would be like, "Can you hand me your onion?" it's thing.
I just feel like she's trying to expel the...
And here's the thing, it's terrible always. There's no once is three times too many.
The only time she delivers okay lines is when she's with her dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
Well, like I said, once is three times too many. But it's like if they had only done it in the first scene, I'd be like, I get what they're going for. But they proceed to every time they're alone.
Up and through the point where they are madly in love with each other and should be very comfortable with each other at that point.
Although, okay, so props for credit's due. You want to know something I love is that they just say the thing. And yes, unfortunately, it is 50 full minutes into the movie.
Does it really take that long?
Yeah, that's why I said, could you pause it for a minute?
Oh.
But I didn't want to show my hands. So I pretended something else was happening.
Okay.
But 50 full minutes into the movie is the, say it. But I do love that she just sort of Googled this shit and was like, I think you might be a vampire. And she, looked it up. And then she, went right to him. And she's like, I think you might be a vampire.
I think you might be a vampire.
There's something about that I'm like...
Yeah.
Call
a spade a spade.
Yeah, you got it.
Call a vampire a vampire.
I don't know what I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
And then and again, because there's also like a lot of movies, because we talked about this a little bit recently with The Witch, the Robert
Zemeckis?
No, The Witch.
Oh.
The Witch.
Eggers.
Robert Eggers. Yeah. Where I was like, the first time I saw that movie, it was terrifying. Third time I saw the movie, it's borderline a comedy.
Hilarious, yeah.
So
I still need to watch that.
That's happening, yeah. It's happening where that whole scene, he's sort of zipping around in the trees and stuff in this way that it's I can understand how in the moment what they were going for, but watching it now, it's hysterical.
Well, so he does that in the book.
Deeply funny.
Yeah, he does it in the book, and it's actually sort of thrilling. When you're reading it, you're like, oh, he's taking her through the trees. It's cool. What if someone took me through the trees on their back?
Well, not even just that, but just when he's just
when he's menacing her.
Yeah. and it just, and I think that's the thing that gets me, especially because I already mentioned that it was I'm whatever with the love triangle. I like the.
We're not even in that yet.
No,
yeah.
I like the Cullens, but it's you get this part where it's fucking what are their names?
Collins?
No, the three. James.
James and
Victoria and
Cam Gigandit.
No, Cam Gigandit is James.
Oh, is he James?
Laurent.
Yeah.
There you go.
Where they come in.
I was about to just flip through the book.
They're supposed to be really imposing, and you can just tell a total fucking virgin is writing this book.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just sort of okay, you know what?
So I think something that's interesting about that is something that they note in the book afterwards, but they don't touch on in the movie, is that they present themselves with Laurent being the leader.
Yep.
And it's not until later that I think it's Carlisle, but it might be Edward, is you could tell that it's not him, it's Victoria is the leader of the three of them. But they hid their cards to their vest to try to keep that under wraps. And it's the type of thing where
the movie doesn't.
They don't. Yeah. And it's really a bummer because
it's a nuance that Catherine Hardwicke was not able to.
Which sucks because although I will say 13 was not nuanced at all. It's good. It's very good.
Well, and it's not a poorly made movie because it is what it is.
Yeah.
And
there's $40,000 or $40 million and it's on screen.
Sure.
You can see it.
And I can see how, especially runtime, aside, I can see how younger people, tweens, could actually fall hook, line, and sinker.
Especially if they're 14 when this movie came out.
Oh my God.
Into Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
And
I'm still very much.
Same, girl.
Yeah.
No, he was doing it for me. And it was I remember being thrilled because he refused to shave his chest for this. And for 20 years, they would make leading men do that. And because they didn't do it in the 70s, girls coped. They figured out a way.
I think girls had a little bit healthier sexual development in the 70s too.
And so I just loved when he because that's more for New Moon, but I was just sort of fucking there we go, buddy. I was I love that you're just gonna be you.
Yeah.
And he does just I wasn't into him. I am into him now, period.
Mm-hmm.
Now. And I'm into him now in a way that I wasn't. And I remember I said something, this is pre-Twitter for me at least, but I was he looks like his face. It's what you would find in a Greek mythology book when you just discovered it in 4th grade.
Sure.
And I was like, he looks like
the shape and the sculpting of his face bones.
Because I said he looks like he fell through like a plate glass table, but in a sexy way.
In a really sexy way. Yeah.
Yep. Like I said earlier, I could start a fire with that jawline.
Just
yes.
Yeah.
Start several.
Yes.
It'd be fireworks.
Yeah.
Like that's how they started the fire in the ballet studio.
That literally.
You were like, where did that fire come from? And
he just went right up against the mirrors.
Just
because we were watching this with your husband Will, and there was
I was surprised he sat down.
Yeah, he watched the whole thing. Well, he watched like 3 of the movies with us in the theater.
He did see 3 of them in the movies in the theater with us. He never has seen either Breaking Dawn.
The second one's so good.
We could we maybe could get him to do it.
The second one's so good. I can't wait to get to it.
Maybe I should come back for that one. Tell me what weekend, and then I'll request.
You could also move here, but that's a different conversation.
Okay, I'm going to put a Twitter poll up. If you think Rachel should move to Orlando, let us know.
I'm in a changing season, so just let me know. I don't want to live in Minnesota anymore. It is so fucking cold.
You don't have to stay just for like a year or 2, but
you can even just summer here if you want, or winter here.
Could be
you snowbird.
There you go. Yes,
snowbird in Orlando with us.
I forgot. We've been drinking for like 4 hours.
This is our second bottle of champagne, our third bottle of wine.
What was I saying?
We were talking about his face.
Yeah.
I like it.
Me too.
Same. It was right after that. We were literally.
Also, the like tweed jacket, the tweed pea coat.
Mm-hmm.
It works.
Just anything that looks like just a hint of Burberry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will say something that is in today's age, and also just like from a perspective of inclusion all over, this is a deeply white movie.
Oh. Yeah.
It's so white.
It's deviled eggs, a movie.
Twilight so white.
Potato salad. It's like very,
but with no
white.
Mustard.
No mustard in the potato salad. No spices.
What is with? Okay, well, who is Cullen Lutz? Emmett. First of all, you hire Cullen Lutz, dye his hair black. What?
His hair's not even black in the book.
And then like crop it.
No, it's like a buzz cut. It's awful.
No, yeah, it looks like turf.
It does look like turf.
Why is he carrying around a bag of eggs?
Oh yeah, because they don't eat. Maybe it's because he's supposed to be like the muscle, like he's supposed to be like weightlifting and stuff.
When did that happen?
It's into lunch in the first when they're all introduced. He's carrying
around a bag of hard-boiled
like
eggs.
A gallon Ziploc of hard-boiled eggs.
I have never noticed that before.
I saw it on Tumblr just the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, but that makes sense because they have to like put it on.
They have to pretend. Okay, that is to me.
But that's like a level of detail that they don't continue. Like they don't keep up with that whatsoever.
So,
because if they wanted to pretend that way, they could always not be dating each other.
Sure, sure. Yeah. So I will say it's something that stuck out to me when I read the book the first time, and it's something.
Eggs? Is it in the book?
No, not the eggs.
I was like.
Not the eggs. The thing I'm going to say is something that stuck out to me when I read the book the first time, and it sticks out to me every time I watch the movie, which is they are such food wasters.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, I know that Alice plays the stock market because she can see the future.
Yeah.
But I hope that they donate some of that money to food banks because they're food wasters. They're just throwing food away. They don't even try to eat it because there's that one scene where Stephanie Meyer said something about it where like Bella makes him eat the pizza and he has to like go around behind the house later and vomit it back up. It's horrible.
I don't want your life. I don't want this world because we had to pause the movie. We had a full-fledged discussion when we see Edward's bedroom. Beautiful. The house is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no bed. And I was like, no, thank you.
Because he can't.
No.
They don't sleep.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
And Will was like, well, maybe if I weren't tired. And I was like, no. It's not. The ability to take a nap has little to do with being tired.
Just a pause.
As a napper myself.
So
I don't want any part of it.
He lays down with her to take naps, but only she sleeps.
She would just be like farting and like talking.
Bella would never fart in front of Edward.
It would be the she poots.
What did you get? Oh, you got plumette. You're fine. You're good.
Fine.
No, I think it's the type of thing where, like, in the end credits of The Proposal, when Sandra Bullock is like, I have never farted in front of him, nor will I ever fart in front of him. That feels like a very Bella thing to do. To be like, no, I wouldn't, nor would I ever. I'm
just glancing at my notes, and I just wrote, I said, they're both being so weird in this scene.
Yeah.
And it's I don't really like the rain. I don't like any
cold. Wet things.
And it was just kind of like, it overcomplicates what she's saying to such an extent that it's like, what does that mean? Well,
I was gonna say the exact same thing. It feels like there should be some sort of subtext.
Yeah.
But there's no subtext.
No. Well, and then cut to when they're just sitting in the rain, just completely drenched underneath the branches after, and she says she doesn't like any cold wet thing.
And then he just is like telling her about being a vampire and like what the deal is. And I'm like, you could have done this anywhere else when it wasn't pouring rain under a pine tree.
Well, it's always
whatever.
It's raining.
Except for the prom when it is completely clear.
Well, yeah, you were like, who plans an outside prom for...
Like, who does that? Who does it?
Oh, man.
God, I'm trying. There's nothing to say about Jacob in this movie.
Not in this movie, except for his wig is just terrible.
It's so bad.
Just super awful. And one of the pieces of IMDb trivia says Taylor Lautner had to wear a wig for his role. And I was like, are you sure?
Talked about recasting him, and I was like...
Yeah.
What?
Oh yeah, there was. That's why
he was
got
supposed to be like older.
But that's why he got so ripped, was to prove he could do it. He didn't want to lose the role, which God bless. But
if there is anybody in this franchise that I feel the worst for, it is Taylor Lautner.
Why?
Because
you think he just took
he has not recovered in the way that the other two have.
Not in the way that they have. Was he there to begin with, though?
I think he could have forged a path. Not equal to theirs, but I think he could have forged a path forward, and I don't feel like the opportunity was given to him. What? I don't think he is capable of being an Oscar-worthy movie.
He was fine in Scream Queens Season 2.
Well, he was very funny in Scream Queens Season 2.
Wasn't he in some action movie with Lily Collins or something?
Maybe. He's done stuff because he got in with Adam Sandler on Netflix, which is fucking lucrative.
Yeah, it is lucrative. Yeah. Get your coin.
Yeah.
Get your coin, Taylor Lautner.
But no, I think he is a little bit out of his league in every capacity in a way that's not necessarily his fault.
No, I don't think he's out of his league in these movies because they're all terrible. I think Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart.
I think he's actually the only one that is even remotely within his league in these movies. Let's go ahead and say that.
Yeah.
Get rid of all of them and keep him.
Keep Taylor Lautner. I think Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson are actually very gifted actors. I think this was directed poorly and it set the tone for the franchise. And so they had to stick with these characterizations in a way that someone else doing this the first time around could have made it better.
Well, and again, I think
it feels very George Lucas-y, where it's like, why did you pick that take?
I think this is a very straightforward adaptation.
Yeah.
I just think that this material could have stood to be interpreted.
This could have really used the Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Alfonso Cuarón treatment in a way where it's like
Guillermo del Toro's Twilight.
Oh, God.
Sure. I mean, that would have been hellish.
Yes,
Julie Taymor's Twilight.
That would have been amazing.
Even worse.
Baz Luhrmann.
Joseph Kahn's Twilight.
Okay, that's a yes for me.
I do find it funny that Billy Burke. Phenomenal from moment one.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
it's like he's the
reliable, durable.
It's like he's the only actor who like fully understands what his character is and what his motivations are.
How he doesn't have a Hallmark Christmas franchise, I don't know.
Has he never been in a Hallmark Christmas
I don't know. Maybe he does.
We should look that up.
But no, I do love the adults because also Elizabeth Reeser and
Peter Facinelli.
Okay, I have never liked Peter Facinelli.
What?
I mean, he's fine. Like, I think he's fine, but I've never thought he was cute.
Oh, you don't like Mike Dexter?
I don't know Mike Dexter.
Have you never seen Can't Hardly Wait?
No.
Oh my God, Rachel. We should watch Can't Hardly Wait. He plays Jennifer Love Hewitt's boyfriend.
No, I love him so much.
He's
as Carlisle. He's so good as Carlisle.
He also kind of knows who he is too.
Yeah. I also love, because I feel like that role would have traditionally been given to the woman.
The
kind of like nurturer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, I love it so much. I love that he's a doctor.
He's a rescuer.
I love how uncanny, because he like the Cullens.
Yeah.
He walks into these scenes like he's from like just a slightly different plane.
Yeah.
I love it so much. And they made him do that.
Like he's from the multiverse?
Yeah. They made him do that at least in the first movie. I can't remember if they let him wear wigs in the rest
They
of them.
were all wearing wigs for the rest
But they
of
were
the
like
movie.
filming somewhere, and he was like in the Boondocks, and he was like, I got a lot of looks.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think it's interesting that you say, or was it you that said it's usually a woman?
Mhm.
But I think that is, again, one of the like sort of, it turns into one of the icky parts of these books, is because it's like a Mormon thing. Like he's a man. Because he's the leader.
had to take it away from me.
He's
had to
the
ruin
leader
it.
of this clan. And so it's
He's
like,
the leader of the pack.
yeah, it's sort of, it's like, ooh.
I mean,
Do we have to?
I think that is entrenched in this.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I don't think you
100%.
can without.
There's like no part of it where you can be like, well, this part's not Mormon.
So I'm trying to think. We talked a little bit about Rochelle LaFarge while we were watching it.
Lefebvre.
Bryce Dallas Howard. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I mean, Victoria.
Yeah. I liked the part where Cam Gigandet was walking and you could see his belly. I liked that.
She's
part a
not
lot.
even in that scene.
I'm just rattling off things that I remember. I'm just trying to say words that
Okay.
were part of.
Keep going. It's going great.
Mike was funny to me in this one. I don't really remember him.
He's kind of funny.
I think it's, well, but he's not.
well,
But I think it's with the context of because him and Jessica have that scene where, and I don't remember the actor name.
no, I don't either.
But him and Jessica have that scene where they're like, you're from Arizona. And she pulls the like, if you're from Arizona, why aren't you like tan? The
you
Mean
can't
Girls.
just ask people
Yeah.
why they're not tan.
And she's like, and she's just like, oh, that's why they kicked me out. And he's just like, you're funny. Like it was a thinker.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not.
It's like the
It makes me think of the Amy Schumer.
was Brooklyn Decker or
No.
was it Alice Eve or something?
No, but
Which one was it?
don't desecrate the good name
I'm
of
sorry.
Alice Eve.
I'm sorry.
It was the second Kate Upton.
Ah, yes.
And it was like Amy Schumer was at a baseball or a basketball game with one of her like male comedian friends, and she was like, "What is it about men when hot women do anything?" And she was like, "Their brains just fall out of their ears."
Yeah.
And so he like was somewhere, and Kate Upton was there, and they were like, she was like playing pool or something, and he was like, "Oh, you should play pool with me."
Well, no, she's very specific. He was like telling the story to Amy Schumer, and Amy Schumer was like, the guy was like, "She's like really funny,
She's
though."
so funny. And Amy Schumer goes,
What did she say?
What specifically did she say that was so funny? And he was like, we should play pool one day. He was like, I'll show you like how to win or something. And Kate Upton just goes, we'll see.
And Amy Schumer was like, are you kidding me?
So it just reminds me of that. But I think we'll get into, I have passionate feelings about Jessica, and I think we'll get into that more in New Moon.
Sure.
Because she's in Eclipse and Breaking Dawn Part 1. Well, she's a cameo in Part 1.
She's at the wedding.
Yeah. But I actually have very, very passionate feelings about her and the way she's treated in this. But
yeah, I agree.
So actually, I mean, let me look at my notes. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say specifically about any of it?
I mean, it just, outside of the fact that I have so many feelings about Kristen Stewart. It just hurts my body.
As the one who unleashed,
you were like turning inside out.
Yes, I know. Like I can't hide it. It hurts my body.
But as the one who unleashed this curse on us, do you like it? I mean, did you enjoy?
I mean, like is a strong word. I accept it.
You
in concept,
feelings.
Yeah. In concept, I accept it for what it is. I accept it as a part of a whole. if this were the only movie that had come out of the whole thing, I would have been like, no.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So it's like the 2010 Clash of the Titans for me.
Okay.
Where I like it as part of a grander Greek mythology whole.
I was going to say, it does, because every movie builds.
But it itself is terrible.
So every movie builds, and I think at no point ever do Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson have believable chemistry on screen. But the movies do all build into something greater. And I think it also, for me, it's the type of thing where, because I read the books, I am mentally filling gaps as I watch. It's the same thing for me with Harry Potter. It's the same thing for me with like almost every franchise like this. Mm-hmm. I'm filling the gaps, the Hunger Games. So it's like, even when we were talking about The Magicians, it's like, I love the show that we got, but still in my mind, I want to watch the books verbatim. Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's like, I would prefer that out of this. And this is almost verbatim.
I was about to say.
To a fault.
Okay.
But they don't get the feeling of it right.
It's so indulgent.
And I feel like what they chose to take and then leave.
Yeah.
I don't agree with what they chose
to
take.
I agree.
Like, why would you choose... Like when when Charlie is showing Bella the house and she, he's talking about how small the house is, and then mentally she says one bathroom. Mm-hmm. Like, I just find that very odd, and there isn't enough time from when she is verbally agreeing with what he said to where she's in her mind narrating, and it's a really weird switch, and I'm like, why would you choose to leave that in?
I agree.
It's just little things like that, and it's like, that's just so extra.
Yeah.
But then there's so many things in this that you could have brought forward that you chose to left behind. Mm-hmm. And that would have really, I think, created a much rounder story, especially with the character development.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest flaws with these adaptations in general is that this started in like a post Harry Potter world, which was at the time the biggest thing that had ever happened in movies.
And I almost think that this suffered because of that. Because everyone was
exactly what I'm going to say.
It does even predate the MCU. That's fascinating.
And so that's the type of thing where I feel like, because it's post Harry Potter but pre MCU, I don't think that Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart were properly prepared for what they were going to deal with. Mm-hmm. And I think that really mind fucked them both. And so I feel like that's the reason why they were not able to give proper performances in conjunction with Catherine Hardwicke's directing. But I think that's like a huge part of the problem. And then I think they really got stuck in these roles, and then they started dating, and she's a lesbian. And it's like, there's just like so many layers upon layers upon layers why this is so awkward and badly done.
To that point, it was a good thing that they brought in so many people, like having like Dakota Fanning and Cameron Bright, who are child actors coming in and stuff. And Michael Sheen, who by all accounts is like
I have
godfather.
Like 45 minutes to say about Michael Sheen when we get there.
So, okay. Well, I'm going to cut us off now. Okay. I think it was certainly a discussion.
Yeah.
That's sort of our bread and butter. Yeah. And I always get like angsty. I want to say paranoid, anxious. There you go. That's the word. Anxious. Where I'm like, I have to cram everything I've ever thought about this into like 45 minutes.
We've got 4 more episodes to cover this. It's gonna be fun.
So yeah. That's that on that.
Yeah, I'm curious. So I am a little bit bummed that we waited so long to do this, because all the Twilight movies are leaving Hulu like tomorrow. So I'm a little bit bummed, but I'm sure they'll go somewhere else. So I'm sure you'll be able to find Twilight. I'm very curious what other people think about this, especially people that follow us and
beyond
like our age groups.
It's amazing or it's garbage.
Yeah, I want something new.
I want
please.
gray.
Yeah,
give me just like seeping tones.
I want your gray thoughts on this movie for sure.
The color. I want the color. Color palette.
Yeah. Maybe even 50 Shades of it.
Oh, hey,
boo!
I will not be coming back for that.
No, I'm not doing 50 Shades of Grey.
So, okay.
Okay. Well, don't block my camera.
I've never done that. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. You can follow us on Twitter @SoI'mWatching or Instagram @SoI'mWatching this show. You can follow Rachel.
I'm also on Instagram @Raenut.
RAENUTT.
And then you can follow along on our website, soimwatching.com, and you can subscribe on YouTube right over here. And then just rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And that's it for us.